Hey there, it's your host, Cindy Chang, founder of Evolve Consulting Co. and the visionary behind an exciting new venture launching in 2025, making staffing accessible for companies of all sizes. Welcome back to the Fearless Entrepreneurs podcast, where we dive deep into the stories behind Canada's most inspiring brands. Together, we'll uncover how these bold entrepreneurs sparked their dreams, tackled their toughest challenges, and leaned into their fears to achieve success. I'm thrilled you're here, bold enough to embrace the hard truths and inspired to learn from their journeys. Ready to dive in? Let's go. Today, we're thrilled to introduce a guest who has turned her personal challenges into an award-winning mission to empower women everywhere. She's a holistic nutritionist, #1 best-selling author, keynote speaker, and the founder of the groundbreaking supplement brand, Aeryon Wellness. Please welcome the incredible Aeryon Ashlie.
Thank you for having me.
Aeryon is the visionary behind Aeryon Wellness, a female-focused, 100% female-owned supplement brand that's third-party tested, Health Canada approved, and now sold in over 600 stores across Canada and online. Behind all the accolades is a deeply personal story. Aaron's journey to holistic health began as a young girl struggling with weight, bullying, and self-worth. She endured a 20-year battle with bulimia, hormonal imbalance, and extreme cycles of dieting, over exercise, all in the pursuit of the fleeting idea of perfection. When her health reached a breaking point 15 years ago, she experienced a profound wake up call. Aeryon shifted her focus from quick fixes to sustainable, holistic solutions, redefining her relationship with her body, her health, and her purpose. At just age 35, she found herself in early perimenopause. And after reclaiming her health, she realized that there's no supplement brands that truly spoke to women's unique needs. So that's how Aeryon Wellness was born. And since her launch, her brand has numerous industry awards, has been featured on season 9 of Dragon's Den, where she walked away with 3 offers, and gained recognition for its social advocacy work, including ongoing contributions to the Downtown Eastside Women's Shelter in Vancouver. Her story reminds us the power of resilience and staying true to your path, even in a world full of fast success stories. I'm 100% self funded, and I've chosen to go slow and steady, and it's about trusting your journey. Please join me in welcoming Aeryon Ashlie. Welcome, Aeryon.
Thank you so much for having me today. I'm excited to have a conversation.
After hearing your intro and really just all of the things that you've accomplished, how does it make you feel to just like hear it out loud?
I think it's always good. I've said this to other people. If they're ever feeling stuck or they haven't done enough, to do to write something along those lines where you're really like looking at all of those things, or do a job resume and you're able to really look at all the things you've accomplished. Because I think sometimes we get so focused on going forward, for those of you who are not looking at me,
Yeah.
it's, that we forget everything we've done along the way. And sometimes you need those little bit of reminders, especially I think being an entrepreneur, there's all these peaks and valleys, and so many valleys. Often the
Yes.
valleys supersede the peaks. And so in that, you're always focused on trying to figure things out instead of celebrating all the wonderfulness that has happened. So hearing
Yeah.
that makes me go, oh, okay, all right, I guess I have done some things.
You speak to something so true, which is being an entrepreneur has its peaks and valleys. And you're right. A lot of the times it's lots of valleys, but when the peaks happen, they feel so good too,
Yeah.
right? Take us through your journey, Aeryon, about, from your childhood and how it really kind of spawned Aeryon Wellness in your words.
Yeah, sure. So my mom was a figure skating coach. My dad was an amateur bodybuilder. And so athletics and aesthetics were always really important to my household. And I always really struggled with weight. And it's funny now I look back on pictures of myself as a kid and I'm like, I wasn't that big, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
Now that I really look at it, and there was so much focus put on my weight. And it was also something kids were able to pick on me for. So my parents homeschooled me. When I was 13, now in hindsight, my mom is mortified she did this, but she put me in Weight Watchers thinking this would give me the tools that I needed to figure this out. When I sat there, I remember sitting there in that it was all older women. I was 13, and I felt like
Wow.
too much and not enough all in the same time. And shortly after that, one of my classmates was talking about his sister who was struggling with anorexia and bulimia and how she was so skinny and she was so tiny. And in my little teenage brain, I went like, oh my God, this seems so much better. I could
Yeah.
eat whatever I want. And that really started my 20-25 year battle with eating disorders. And in my 20s, I actually started doing fitness competitions. So then I found a way, essentially, it's a glorified eating disorder, at least I think, because you're weighing and measuring. But at the same time, people are praising you because you look so great. And it was the only time, ironically enough, that I didn't have issues with my eating disorder because everything was so in control. And when I
Right.
hit 35 and I had this aha moment, my daughter almost walked in on me in a purge. And with bulimia or with an eating disorder, for me, it was all about control. And that was one of the layers we peeled back. My mom and I wrote the book, Bulimia to Balance. And we peeled back the layers. It wasn't about just the fact I wanted to eat food. It was about that was the one thing I could control.
Yeah.
Right. And I was so controlled on food. And then so for me, bulimia was this loss of control where I just
Yeah.
went crazy, ate whatever I want. But then I'd panic and have an anxiety attack because I need to get control back again. So at 35, when I had this happen, I really began to reflect. I was like, okay, I need to get this under control because otherwise this will be my daughter's story with food. And I'm not going to have this be her story. And when
Mm.
I reflect back, I was like, when was the time I didn't struggle with it? And it was when I was in this competition mode, which I knew I didn't want to be in competing mode. But I was like, how do I take those lessons? So I took the structure of the eating and I applied that to myself for a short duration of time. And not where I was weighing food, but where I actually had my meals prepared still. So I ate only what was given to me because
Mhm.
it was if I have an extra bite of a cookie or extra, that would trigger me. And so I really began to land in having control over what I was eating every single day in a healthy manner.
Yeah.
Took all things out of the house that would trigger me. We didn't have cake batter in the house for a very long time. And then slowly I began to relax and be able to step into more of a positive relationship with food. And then also
Mhm.
shift my relationship with nutrition as well. And I think the high amount of stress and anxiety I was experiencing, plus my, over exercise, plus my restriction, and then binging on food, really is what put my body in disarray when I was about 35. And
Yeah.
that's when I began to say, okay, let's start looking at what real health and wellness is. And I came up with these 5 pillars that I used in my coaching practice previously because I was a holistic health coach and nutritionist, so good at giving advice, not so good at taking it myself.
That's
But I created
everybody.
everybody, right?
Yeah.
So I took these 5 pillars, and they are the thoughts you think, the friends you keep, daily movement, nutrition, and then supplementation. Because cognitive behavioral therapy to me was a huge component of my healing, my eating disorder, and
Mhm.
also to me one of the biggest things we need to look at when we look at anything in life, really, how we're looking at things, right? How we're viewing
Mhm.
things, conversation that's going on in our heads going to determine whether we're doing something or we're not doing something, that action that comes with it. So when it came to a point, I began looking at, we'll work through all my stuff. And I was like, hey, where are some products that I can really rely on? And there was nothing really on the market that appealed to me. And that also, I wanted my messaging to be different. I don't have a magic pill. As much as I would love to think that I have a magic pill. And I think a lot of the time we look at some of the marketing that's generated, it really is like, this is going to fix it all. And
Yeah.
it's not. The only magic pill I have is boric acid, which is a vaginal suppository for yeast infections. That is my magic pill. But
I was gonna get there right after, so we'll get there.
rest of it really takes these 5 pillars. They take
Yeah.
a holistic approach to health and wellness, and supplements are there to supplement. Right. And so I really wanted to have a brand that really spoke to that. So it was
Mhm.
not only like, here's a product that's great, that we have third party tested, that we're using clinical doses, that's made for women by women, that we actually have a component of it that's a social conscious component where we're giving back to those in need. But the biggest thing is that we're giving you the tools in which you can actually make the changes to have sustainable health and wellness,
Yeah.
right? So, and that's really where we applied these 5 pillars into the product line, and then we use the QR codes to share that methodology with everybody, and that is the journey of it. And it's still a daily journey. So,
Absolutely.
you
It
know,
never stops. Health is a
it,
daily journey for
it
sure,
is, right?
right?
And it's really holding myself accountable and doing
Mhm.
the 5 pillars, right? The thoughts you think. Every day I practice that. If
Mhm.
there's happen and being an entrepreneur, you get thrown things and you're like, oh my gosh. You
Mhm.
have every day is how you're going to handle that situation. And so in that, it's like, okay, this is an opportunity for me to learn and to grow. And that's a big part of my narrative that always is spinning in my brains. There's never a poor me and this is an opportunity. This is what is this going to play in my story? This is going to be part of my story one day. So there's a reason this is happening for me and looking at it that way. So
Absolutely.
So it's a little bit of the story.
Well, thank you so much, Erin, for, sharing that with us and being so open to, your struggles that then led you to your journey. Because what I find in interviewing entrepreneurs, the two are very, very intertwined. And that really gives the entrepreneurs the passion for and the drive behind fueling the products that they have, right? And so, we just my next episode that I'm going to launch actually is with an eating disorder recovery clinic, of someone who has, struggled with eating disorders her entire life. Her recovery process wasn't a one-way street, right? And so I loved the fact that you had talked about, at like the turning point for you was when your daughter almost walked in when you were 35. And so your recovery journey from bulimia, that wasn't a one-way street, right? And you understood the reasoning why behind it. And so tell us like how that really shaped and, shaped into your journey into creating these supplements and kind of living by these five pillars. And what made you really say like, hey, you know what, this cycle ends with me. Like I am not carrying this into my daughter. And how old was she?
She would have been about, gosh, I think she was probably 3 or 4
Okay.
maybe. I think it's Tony Robbins has for years talked about the pain pleasure, right? So we have the reason we do something is because the pleasure outweighs the pain, right?
Hmm.
And so for me, even though I knew my teeth were getting destroyed, my eyesight was destroyed, I socially didn't want to go out because I was always in fear that I would take an extra bite and be triggered and have this anxiety that I wouldn't be able to stop eating. I lived in this little box per se. And but I that didn't outweigh the pleasure I got from that binge and that release that I got to have, right?
Hmm.
The thought of her, and even the thought of her seeing that and watching my dysfunctional relationship with food, that pain outweighed any pleasure of losing control.
That's
And so
so in.
and so that was the big catalyst for me. And it was always, it's one of these things, it's almost like I'm gonna stop on Monday. I'm gonna stop on my birthday. I'm gonna stop on New Year's. It's like somebody with alcohol. And I believe
Yeah.
we all have something, right? We all have something, be it sex or drinking or smoking or dysfunctional relationship. We all have something we try to band-aid with or use to medicate ourselves. And being human is really hard. Like it is really
Hmm.
hard. It's not
It
easy,
is. Yeah.
right? Perfectionism, because there's that part of it that really drove it too. And there still is a part of me that wants to be perfect. I give it my background growing up and what was expected of me. Maybe that's part of it. This whole
Hmm.
perfection thing about letting that go has been something I work on daily and still something I work on, trying to like
Yeah.
that perfect veneer that everything's great. I look at my eating disorder as a gift and as a friend. That's something I changed that analogy. And I wrote that in the book, Bulimia to Balance, because every time that shows up, anytime I get that anxiety to overeat, and I don't get it really anymore at all, but that anxiety or that need to fill, what's going on? It gives me an opportunity to pause and stop and take a look and like say, okay, what's going on in my life? What am I not paying attention to? Right.
Hmm.
As I got older, that's what was driving it more. So anytime there'd be a big stressful situation or I'd be upset or I'd be hurt or there'd be something going on, I'd want to rely on food to fill
Yeah.
me. Right.
Right.
And so I really began to have to shift all that and also put things in place, such as taking certain foods out of the house, making sure my meals were prepped and like were good, healthy, solid meals so that I wouldn't want to go overboard and eat too many other things because that would initially lead to a binge and purge. But then
Hmm.
also surrounding myself with people in my life that I knew if I ever came up or if I felt anxiety, I stepped away from the situation. I went for a walk. I'd call somebody. I didn't have to tell them what I was going through, but just changing my state immediately as well too was really important.
That's one of the main things that I learned, which you just kind of reinforced with what you were telling me, is that it's you had to kind of unwind your relationship with food and create new patterns of, healthy thinking and how it's like coping mechanisms and being prepared to deal with anxiety. And that's probably where your CBT training really came in, is that really creating the tools of how to battle mindset. You have been on the road to recovery for a while now. You have good pillars in place to help you maintain that. How has your daughter really learned through your journey? And is this something you're really open to with her?
I mean, she's heard me, she's been around, she's seen the book, she knows we've done the talks, all that kind of stuff. We don't, the things I think that I at one point never thought I'd be able to have a healthy relationship with food. And I have a very healthy relationship with food. There's no scale in our house. your body weight does not matter. It's about being healthy. And there are times I know when I'm not honoring my body by eating the proper food, and I lift weights on a regular basis. I'm very big
Mhm.
on lifting weights and always have been. But she knows that it's about how you feel. I'll say like, oh, I don't feel very good. I've not been eating good lately. So it's more a feeling
Yeah.
instead of, yeah, my pants don't fit. That's not even a narrative that ever is discussed in our house.
Okay.
That's something as women, we really need to be very conscious of how we look at ourselves in the mirror. That's something else too. Are you looking at yourself with disdain? And oh gosh, you have to, and because they're watching us at all times,
All the
right? So
time. Mhm.
no, none of that. We have, yeah, we eat normally. We go out for great food. We went to Italy this summer. We had pasta. We
Oh,
enjoyed ourselves, and in
amazing.
that too, it was like I went to the gym every morning. It's like I want to be able to enjoy this food. So therefore,
Mhm.
I need to make sure that I'm using some of this excess energy that I'm giving myself in a proper way to grow muscle. So it's
Yeah.
always that conversation. She plays competitive volleyball. So she joined the gym. She she lifts weights. She lifts heavy weights. She understands the importance of that opposed to lifting like little 5 pound weights. She knows she has
Mhm.
to grow muscle, and she'll even be like, I didn't have enough protein today. So
Wow.
she's very conscious of it. And even with her skin, if she has a breakout, she'll be like, I wasn't drinking enough water. And she drinks water like a fiend because she understands the importance of it. So I think we can definitely, there's the study of epigenetics, and we look at genetically, people can blame things that say, this is why our family is a large family because
Yeah.
of this. Maybe look at that. But you really do have that option to change that,
Yeah.
have a different story. Now, my part of my stuff was really changing the narrative surrounding food, right? I was always monitored with my food as a child. We were always, and so I wanted to overeat all the time. So I look at all those. It's never been a story in our household. We have changed the way we deal with food and deal with nutrition and movement in my household.
Yeah, you've broken the cycle. And you know what?
Yeah,
I'm going to throw out my scale after this because you're right. Like a lot of the times, I don't like to measure based on weight, but more so how I feel, right? And as you train in heavy weightlifting, you actually tend to weigh more than fat,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
it is a
Yes.
trip, and people get so I made a face when you were kind of talking about like our cultural norms and how women perceive themselves. Do they look at like themselves with disdain? And I think that's more often than not we're really hard. The first thing we're really hard on is our physical appearance, right?
100%.
And I wouldn't say that's a North American thing because where I come from, I'm originally from Taiwan, and weight is very, very big there. And I think it's really about balance. It's really about knowing what it is that you're putting into your body. So I love that. I love
Yeah.
that.
And I think we all like beautiful things. Sorry, but we all love beautiful things. So we like to look at beautiful things. We like to look at
Yeah.
beautiful people. Like there's just as humans, that's what we're flowers, whatever it is. That's
Hmm.
really, we have to acknowledge that too. I think it's about not looking at the scale, but also taking care of yourself, right? Like I agree with I agree with the self-love movement, but I also agree we really need to take care of our heart health. We need to take care of our
Yes.
body. We need to be exercising, right? And so that is, I look at where I want to be at 70, and I know I've changed the way I train and how I view my life now because I am 50, and at 70 years old, because I had my daughter older at 35, she's not going to get me as long as I
Me
get my mom.
too.
I'll be 90 when Michaela's 55.
Yeah.
Like, that's a big difference. My mom is 74. I get my mom for another 10, 20, probably 20 years. She's healthy.
Mm.
Only way that I get to be around and watch my daughter's life play out is if I take really good care of myself. And that is lifting
Absolutely.
weights, drinking water, protein forward. I try not to have too much stress, no crappy
Healthy
relationships.
stress.
I am so dialed in to creating and flourishing as I get older. That is my main focus. It's not
Yeah.
about weight anymore. If anything, I wouldn't mind gaining more weight to be more muscular because I know when I'm 70, I'm going to lose that. So
I think a lot of people don't think about, but need to kind of start thinking about from a young age, which is building muscle. Because a fact is that your bones are just going to get more brittle as you age. And so you need to coat it with, strong muscles that'll be
yes,
able to keep you up. And I take a look at someone like my mom who's 70 and she is just every time she falls, she's out for like 5 months. And I tell her all the time, you have to build muscle because the reality is that your bones are getting more and more brittle, and no matter
yeah,
how many supplements that you take, you have to train your muscles. So many things to unpack here. So you had written a book with your mom which you had just referenced, and so how was that relationship of healing, your health, your food, and what was that journey like with your mom? Like, was it really awakening with her? Did she feel kind of guilt throughout the
Oh,
process?
yeah.
Did she feel healing?
I think it was all of that together. She didn't when we had my mom's a counselor now too. So that she apologized quite a few times, like, "I'm so
Mm,
sorry. So sorry." And my dad was really hard on me as a child as well. And she's like, "I'm so sorry I didn't stand up for you then." I look at my grandmother. My grandmother used to lay my mother's clothes out till she was 17 years old. She came from a very controlled household. So my mom went the complete other way. My mom was like, "I'm not gonna have any control." She didn't
yeah.
want to be like her mom. We're all doing the best we can given the circumstances that we have. And so there was some tears, and there was also a deep understanding. Her and I came to that conclusion too about the control. She goes, "So this whole thing is about control for you. This whole overeating, it's like I lost the control and then I need to get the control back." Right. And
Hmm.
I recognize that about myself, that I operate very well within that. And getting more comfortable with letting go of control, because we don't have control really over anything that's going on in our lives, which the only thing we
Ever.
can control is how we're responding to it.
Yeah.
So it was very healing. We made it more of a workbook style so somebody could follow along with some of the tips and tools that we've used. And it is on Amazon. I still have people buying it, which is interesting and fun.
I love
Um, I,
that.
I have a new book launching called Navigating Perimenopause. So, and that's on the whole
Awesome.
it's a perimenopausal workbook as well.
It actually brings me to the next thing that I want to touch on. You're really tuned into your body now. You've gotten all your dials, you know the food you put in your body, what feels good, what doesn't feel good. You have your workout regimen to a T. You feel generally healthy. You have the supplements that you've created, which I can't wait to talk about, that helps kind of boost that extra, thing that your body doesn't necessarily create a lot of. And then you have hormones. So
Mhm.
then hormones comes in and just wipes everything to the side. And so tell us about that journey, because I think hormonal health is something that a lot of women are struggling with now.
And that all stems really if we look at what we're eating, what we're taking into our body, how we're handling stress on a day-to-day basis, if we're sleeping, all of that, right? Hormones
Yeah.
are chemical messengers, and they operate on a food feedback loop. So when one is high, then the other one tends to be low. So it does this dance. And at different times of the month, that dance is very different. And at different
Mhm.
times in our life, that dance is different. We look at puberty, my daughter's 16. I am in my second puberty. So perimenopause is known as
Yeah.
the second, because we're in that hormonal chaos. Sometimes you'll experience breakouts, your breast pain, breast tissue pain, you're moody, you're angry, you heavy periods, all the different things. Her and I it's very interesting to be on very opposite sides of it. I think what we need to understand is one, perimenopause and menopause is not a health condition. It is a normal part of life. We're all going to
Yep.
go through it. And the best way we can equip ourselves to deal with this is to take care of our body and look at the healthy habits that we have day in and day out, right?
Mhm.
Protein forward, like the stuff I just talked about, working out, lifting weights, cognitive behavioral therapy. There's research using cognitive behavioral therapy to help with menopausal and perimenopausal symptoms. Also, being really proactive and advocating for yourself when it comes to your doctor visits. I tell women all the
Mhm.
time in your early 40s, go into your doctor and ask them, what do you know about menopause? Tell me about what you know about hormone replacement. Tell me what some of the options that I have. Ask your doctor these questions. And that's part that's going to be in the book, Navigating Perimenopause, is conversations
Love
to
it.
have with your doctor, because then you need to understand, is this a physician that is going to be working with you in the way that you need to be worked with? Is he going to gaslight you and just tell you, oh, you're just getting older, you'll be fine? Or is he going to tell you hormonal therapy causes cancer, which is not true? Is it like all really understanding the conversation you're having with your doctor and understand if this works for you? And if it doesn't, it's going to give you time to find somebody else to work with. And so in my early 40s, because my mom, part of the other thing that was real catalyst is my mother had a horrific menopause. And
Oh,
so I knew it not only at 35 was I going through all this, my body was a complete mess. Oh my God, if I'm going through this now, what's 49 going to be like? Like I've
yeah.
got, like, what? That's not going to be pretty. So that was another real kind of like, I need to get this all figured out. And so in that, I think we need to advocate for ourselves. We need to go in and have these conversations. And if it's not somebody who's going to be listening to us with kindness, compassion, empathy, and working with us, then we need to find somebody else to work with. If you're not sleeping well, but you have a light on in your room and you look at your screen every night before you go to bed and you're not sure why you're not sleeping well, blackout blinds, cool environment, heavy blanket, no phone before bed, no caffeine before bed, having maybe a protein rich meal before bed to help stabilize blood sugar while you're sleeping, like magnesium rich foods, magnesium bisglycinate, looking at all the factors you can put in together to help figure that portion out for you.
Something that really resonates with me is that so I just turned 40 last year.
Happy birthday. Welcome to the 40s.
Thank you, thank you. I'm really excited. It's my shine era.
Love that.
I just remembered my mom going through menopause, and she went through an horrific 10-year menopause where it was awful for her. She got hot flashes. She was, I think, suicidal at one point. Like it was very, very tough for her hormonally. And that ever since I was young, because she went through that, I have been terrified to
Mhm.
face menopause, right? And so where are you, like you said you're 50ish, is that right?
I'm 50.
50. And so where are you in your menopause journey? I can't wait to really get this book. I think it's going to really help women because once you turn 40, every symptom feels like menopause, right? If I'm
Yeah.
like a day late for my period, I'm like, it's perimenopause. If
Yeah.
I'm like, getting hot flashes, I'm like, it's perimenopause. If I can't sleep like one night, it's perimenopause, right? And so where are you in your journey and what can you kind of offer to people looking back in starting this journey, and like what advice can you offer to them?
Well, I believe now there's Andrea Donsky has just done a research paper. She's a nutritionalist out in Ontario. I think there's 103 symptoms now that we've come up with. Like for,
Oh.
but it's not just the typical hot flashes and that kind of. It's frozen shoulders. There's joint pain. All of these things. What we really need to understand is that not only are we in hormonal chaos during this time, estrogen can be fluctuating, progesterone can be dropping, but
Mhm.
we are also eventually going to be like going on the tail end of losing our ovaries, go through ovary failure, and we don't produce estrogen there anymore. We produce it through
Yeah.
fat cells, a little bit from our adrenals. And so when you think about it, we're losing our energy force. That's like our life force,
Mm.
metabolism, collagen, skin, all of this. And so it's really important. For me, I'm a believer in using hormone replacement therapy. So hormone therapy or menopause hormone therapy. I'm a big
Mhm.
believer in that. I use testosterone right now because I have very low testosterone. So I use a pharmaceutical testosterone cream to help elevate that and also help with my muscle tissue. And then I also am on progesterone as well because I
Mhm.
still cycle on a regular basis. My estradiol is still fairly high. What I found before Christmas, because I go in for testing on a regular basis, my hormone panels, I have a doctor I work with, a naturopath I work with, and another doctor that I pay as well. So I have a
Mhm.
team, causal team, I guess you could say. And before Christmas, we had a lot of big ass things happening with Aeryon Wellness that just threw me through, and I just couldn't seem to threw me through a tizzy, and I couldn't seem to cognitive behavioral therapy my way out of it. It was so hard, and
Yeah.
I remember just like I can't seem to get out of this. I can't seem to like pull myself out. I've never had this happen, and before Christmas, I'd had the lab results come back. My doctor had called me and he said, okay, testosterone is increasing. That's great because we're using a testosterone cream. Your estradiol is great. He goes, but your progesterone is like in the tank. Like you barely have any. And he goes, I'm going to prescribe you some progesterone. I was like, okay. And I didn't get it before Christmas. I didn't pick it up. And then as that month went on, I remember I didn't want to post on social. I didn't want to, I literally just wanted to sit. Like I was just felt so overwhelmed with things. And
Yeah.
it was like the 25th, 27th. I'm like, oh my God. And I wasn't sleeping. I'm like, holy crap, I need to go get this progesterone prescription like ASAP, like right
Mhm.
now. I don't struggle with anxiety as much as I used to because I have all these tools that I've accumulated. So I went and picked it up, and I'm telling you, I slept 8 hours that first night. I had the best sleep that I've had in years, not years, but
Wow. It
and my
was a good
anxiety,
one.
my anxiety immediately dissipated. I'm a big believer in using whatever works for you. But
Yeah.
I'm also a big believer in women being informed to understand that the risks that we were told about from the Women's Health Initiative study back in 2002 are not the risks. Those findings were strongly not correct. So I guess that's the word I want to use. And so, in that, doing your own research, understanding that most women, especially if you're having symptoms, that is the best way to go. I think it's really important for women to realize that they have to follow whatever's best for their journey. This has been my journey, and that's what I'm choosing to do. I do supplements,
Mhm.
I eat weights, I eat protein, I take HRT or hormonal therapy. I'm doing all of these things to make myself feel my best, and that is
Mhm.
my important thing that I'm working with.
Yeah. And I think you bring up so many important points because for a bit of time there, hormone replacement therapy did get a really bad rep. People were
Oh,
like, don't do it. It causes cancer, and I mean, like everything causes cancer nowadays. But I think that it's one of those things. And can you help me kind of understand with hormone replacement therapy? That kind of replaces the hormones that your body isn't so actively making anymore. Do you have to take it for the rest of your life, or is it just through the menopause period?
I will be taking it for the rest of my life.
For the
My
rest of
mother
your life.
started,
Okay.
yeah, I why would I come off, to be honest
Yeah.
with you? My mom started hers at 49, she's 74. Feels
Yeah.
fantastic. So
Feels
to
great.
me, there's some medical doctors that say you should come off. I will not be coming
Mhm.
off. I will be doing
Okay.
this for my life, and I will take estradiol once I come to that point, right? I'm a believer in, yeah, using it forever, as I will take my vitamin D for the rest of my life, and I will take my Reclaim, and I'll take all my other supplements that I take, my anti-inflammatories, all those things.
Yeah.
That's part of my regime to make myself feel my best.
I think something you talk about that's really important, especially the Canadian healthcare system, is how much of an advocate we need to be for our own health, right? Not all doctors are created equal. And, the doctors, the general practitioners that we see now, a lot of them they're very general. A lot of the times, this is where women stop asking questions is doctors will say, oh, you're just getting old. So don't worry about it. Don't like it's just a normal course of life. But when do you have to push the dial? And it's like, no, something's off, right? I don't feel my best self. How do you advocate for yourself?
For myself, because I've been in this industry for so long, when I went in, talked to my doctor, and I realized my doctor who delivered Michaela is an amazing doctor, but he has not a clue about like hormone therapy at all.
Yeah.
Because I went in, this was in 42. He's like, well, do you want me to prescribe you stuff? And I'm like, well, no, not yet. I don't think so. I'm like cycling still. Everything seems to be fine. I just want to know what my plan is. So
Mm,
I found a naturopath out here in BC. Naturopaths can prescribe hormone therapy. And the same, I believe, in Ontario as well. They can prescribe. And so I found a naturopath, and then he has a medical doctor he works with as well. So I now have a team. And my doctor who delivered Michaela is very fascinated by everything that I'm doing. And he loves the fact that I've been so proactive in this because most physicians only get an hour of menopause training. Like that's it. So they don't have the training behind. Now, I believe that will obviously be changing because there's been so much chatter and so much going on within this space of perimenopause and menopause. And I think with Generation X, we're not taking things lying down. We're like, wait a second, I'm not just going to suffer through this shit. So we're a little bit of a different group, I think,
love it.
um, opposed to our moms. And so in that, there had been a real kind of call to action that has come forward. And I do believe there's going to be some really big shifts happening. So we'll hopefully have more doctors that are more educated in this field and who will be able to give constructive advice and information to women when they go in to see them.
So collecting the data, making sure that
Yeah,
you go in prepared rather
yeah,
than just like, I'm not feeling well. I haven't slept. I don't know when I didn't sleep. Like having
yeah,
it all recorded there helps, right? And so on
exactly.
your dream team, you have your naturopath. And then what is in your hormonal dream team? Tell us about this dream pack you have.
I have my regular doctor, so he's the
Okay.
one who's my GP, and then I have my naturopath, and then he also has a medical doctor on his staff who I pay if I have a
Okay.
consult with him. With testosterone, you can't get testosterone through a naturopath, it has to be through a doctor, and so he is the one who's prescribed the testosterone, and my doctor would, he just didn't really understand, right? He
Mhm.
was like, "Well, I don't know," and I've actually talked to him now about testosterone for my dad, who's in his 70s. Because my dad
Interesting.
has no testosterone. I was like, this might actually help him feel a little better, right? If he had a little bit
Yeah.
more of a kick in the pants. And he's more open to that conversation now because he knows that I've gone through this as well and how I'm feeling. And we're
Yeah.
still tinkering and adjusting. My testosterone cream levels are going to be going up because we need to really get my levels up a lot higher than they are because
Mm.
I'm at the bottom that they can possibly be. So I think having these three work together, and my doctor's fantastic at running me for labs, so I get to go for a full hormone panel, once a month or once every couple months because we want to really see how everything that I'm taking, how that's playing out. And then I also track how I'm feeling too.
Mm.
So I take 5 grams every day. I have my dad on it, my mom's on it, my stepdad's on it, really emphasizing to any senior in your life to get on creatine. That's going to help with muscle tissue.
Yeah.
But one of the best things we can do, as I said, there is no magic pill. And
Yeah.
hormone replacement is not a magic pill either. So if I plan on eating like crap, not working out, not taking care of myself, not having boundaries in personal relationships that cause more stress, right? That's going to
Yes.
affect you too. all of these, if I don't take care of all of these other things, there's only so much that hormone replacement is going to do. There
Yeah,
is no magic pill. We have to start looking at everything as a whole. And
holistically.
I've had so many women over the years that I've worked with, and I've done everything. I'm like, but have you?
I love the fact that you've taken such control of your overall health. That's the best way to put it. It's not just like, sports health, it's not just hormonal health. You've taking a look at everything holistically as well, right? And so how like what kind of spawned the idea or planted the seeds of creating supplements? Like you have an amazing supplement
Yeah, yes.
brand. Yeah.
So I've been in the supplement industry for 20 years. So when my competing days, I actually was a sponsored athlete for several companies. And with one of the companies I was sponsored athlete for, they had an opportunity to have a sales position. And I begged and begged for the job. I moved across Canada for the job. And within 6 months, I tripled numbers. And then I was taken back to Ontario, where I worked for another company. And then they eventually moved me out to Vancouver, but I was with them for 12 years. And so
Wow.
was in that I really developed. So what was interesting is when I had that whole catalyst, I'd already been in the industry in the regards to supplement sales and also nutritional coaching. So this has been my life's work is health.
Um,
And even I was really struggling. And so when I was 35. So in that I'd been in it for a long time, and I just something spoke to me, and I even though I was working with that last company for 12 years, I was constantly like coming up with working with different formulators to come up with formulations, and I trademarked a ton of different company names and
wow.
websites, and yeah, and so I funny because I look it was Bella Therapeutics first, and then I had Integrity Naturals, and I had all these different company names along the way, really looking at trying to find one that fit. And then when I was packaged out from that company, it was like the universe said, "All right, girlfriend, here you go. Here's some cash. What are you going to do with it?"
Yeah.
I know at the time I just knew if I don't try this, I'm always going to wonder what if, right? So I rolled the dice and launched the two products, and then I kept working with another supplement company full time as I grew the brand. So they had an
Right.
agreement with me that they would allow me to grow the brand and also work with them. I don't think they actually thought I was going to make my own products. I think they thought I was just like dream. And so when I launched, they're like, "Oh crap, she's actually doing this."
Ah, she's
And
serious.
I'm serious. And then I did that. I worked with them for a couple of years, which was great to grow the brand and have that financial backing. I am a single full-time mom, so I don't have support in that regards. So having that was instrumental in having the success of Aeryon Wellness.
Mhm.
And so then it just started with the two, and we have more products coming, and it's just kept going and going and going. So I absolutely love the creation process and the launching process and the naming process. So those all come to me usually. It's always me that thinks of the names. I've got some great names. We've got great new ones that are coming out name wise. So yeah, that's where
I
it all
can't
stems.
wait. I love
Yeah.
it. Since we're going along the lines of naming conventions, tell us about Lady Bits, best vaginal moisturizer. Tell us.
So Lady Bits, how that one kind of came to be is during perimenopause. You can use it as a lube, but during perimenopause, a lot of the time, the vaginal area can be quite dry, more so on the outside. And when I began to look at what was available on the market, a lot of the products have sodium benzoate in it because they're 100%, 99% water. So sodium benzoate is a chemical in which it helps with preserving. And I really didn't want anything like that. That was part of my drive with this one. So we have aloe vera, castor oil, hyaluronic acid, vitamin E, zinc, flaxseed, primrose oil, grapefruit seed extract in there. So it's all natural. It's more of a cream consistency. So you place it more outside area, but I have women who are now using it as a lube and absolutely love it. So that's been fun too.
That's so
But yeah, and the
funny.
name came to me because I really wanted something cute and a little bit different.
Really?
I just even with the Up and Away, which is our bacterial vaginosis vaginal suppository, a lot of the products in that category are like Vaggie or they just I was like,
Cheesy.
there's a couple that are just horrific that sound like a disease. And so I so I remember I was making my bed in my old place, and it was right before we were filing the NPN. I was like, "What am I going to call this? I got to have something different." And I threw my duvet in the air, and all of a sudden, in my mind was like, "Up, up, and away!" And I'm like, "Oh!" I raced downstairs and I called Jen, who's my best friend and the vice president of a big supplement company. I'm like, "It's up and away because you put it up and it goes away." So that's how Up and Away came to be. And then 3 months later, I found myself at Launchpad, which is our version of Dragon's Den for our industry. I pitched and had the whole crowd scream vagina, and we won $25,000. So it was great. It was awesome. It worked out well.
Up and away and vagina, that just that's always a
People
winning combo.
people love to yell vagina. You'll never believe how much people love to yell the word vagina. So yeah.
What were your first 2 that you launched? What is your hero product?
Reclaim is my favorite child. So Reclaim is our perimenopause PMS support. In the sense of bestsellers, Lose It, Water Be Gone. Lose It is our metabolism support product and
Okay.
workout. So I take it every day. Water Be Gone because it sheds water, and people a lot of the time are looking for something along those lines. But
Mm.
Reclaim has really made the most profound difference, I think, for myself, for my perimenopause journey. It supports the liver. It has broccoli sulforaphane, so cruciferous vegetables bind to estrogen, help your body metabolize it easier. So we've had countless reviews on Reclaim of people who have really experienced immense and incredible results from it. So that's also something I take every single day as well. So part of my daily regime are those ones. We have a libido product coming down the road, a B complex,
Ooh.
lots of different products that we want to have come down the road. A lot of that, though, of course, comes to cash flow. So we got to be a little bit strategic in what we're launching.
And that's the thing too, is I know that most of your business has been bootstrapped from the beginning and, really is self-funded and through, winning pitches and things like that. And so what's kind of that next chapter for Aeryon Wellness?
I had a call yesterday. I guess I can call them my board of advisors, my 2 board of advisors that are very close to me. I have some wonderful mentors in my life, which is that's one of the biggest suggestions I have to any entrepreneurs: get some really
Yeah.
great mentors, and then listen to them as well. But really, if in order to take the brand where we want to go, and we had a 36% increase last year. This year, I'm looking for a
Amazing.
100% increase. So I'm aiming high this year, and I can
Yes.
do that, but it really has to be being strategic with where we're spending our money with retailers and advertising
Mhm.
and picking the right retail partners that are then also working with us to grow the brand and who also see the potential of growing that brand together, of growing the brand
Mhm.
together. And then also research and development, right? Research, development,
Yeah.
inventory is cash is king and cash is tough, especially when you're making products and having sales, but then
Product.
you literally have to use all that to like try to create more product and do new product orders and then advertise it.
And that brings me to my next question. Do you have staff that help you currently run Air Wellness, or what does hiring look like for you?
It is mostly me. I do have contract workers, but for the most part, it is myself. So I run day-to-day operations.
Yeah.
And in that, yeah, I have wonderful people who work with me and work for me, but in the sense of employee, I'm the only employee. So yeah,
Awesome. You've done so much. Like, that's very impressive for over 600 retailers that you're in. And I know I've worked in CPG before. The cost of advertising dollars that it takes to be on shelf and to be in their advertising is not cheap. Subcontractors are definitely, the way to go for a lot of employers now.
that's what I basically have. I have my web
Yeah.
developer, I have an Amazon person, I have the lady who does all my email marketing, I have my Meta girl. So I
Yes.
have all these people. So I guess there is definitely a team, but more of a fractional team per se. I'm not their focus. They're not working for me.
Yes.
So I know I have a sales team, but I'm the salesperson. This is up
Mhm.
to me day in and
It's
day out.
your
How
brand.
brand grow, and that's my responsibility. And then how am I
Absolutely.
then talking to each of these sales reps to make sure that they're also facilitating the dream that I have for the brand as well.
So I think you're doing it exactly how future entrepreneurs are gonna do it. I know part of your profits go to Downtown Eastside Women's Shelter. Why is that cause so close to your heart?
I had a rough time as a teenager, so I found myself on the streets. And in that, what I know is if it wasn't for these grassroots organizations, I probably wouldn't be alive today. So I put myself in
Mm.
very precarious situations. And at times, I'm in awe of the fact that I'm even here and doing what I'm doing, right? These organizations that are working with women that are down there on the streets, helping them, it was really important to me to create some sort of give back component. So it is off a net profit. And I try to do time as well if I can and
Yeah.
volunteer. But that is, yeah, that's something that's really important to me.
I like to end off with rapid fire questions. So kind
Okay,
of
sure.
get to know your CEO.
Yeah,
What's your go-to stress reliever?
the gym.
The gym. Yeah. And favorite health or wellness ritual you can't live without?
I can't live that. We protein, definitely protein, like protein
Protein.
smoothie. Yeah,
Okay.
protein for sure. Definitely. Yeah. That would be
Now,
my
what's the one book that changed your life?
I really liked Tony Robbins back in the day, The Giant Within. That was my first
Mhm.
kinda sets I got when I owned my pet food store way back when.
Yeah.
But what I'm listening to now that I really recommend, I think it's really great, is Let Them, the new Mel Robbins book is fantastic,
Yes.
really
Have
great.
you and one word to describe your journey.
And would work. I think
That's a
that would
good
work.
one. What's kind of a belief about yourself that you've spent the longest time trying to unlearn?
That I'm not enough. Definitely that, for sure.
I love that, and it's so real, and it's so relatable, and I think it's what we all think, but we don't say out loud, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm glad, and I'm so happy that you have been just so vulnerable and open to sharing your journey because I don't think it's something that people do enough, and also people are just as open as you are with it. So, I really commend you for that because it really helps people. I think a lot of people think it, and again, they don't feel like they can voice it, right? So thank you for giving it a voice.
Thank you for having me. This has been wonderful.
Now, everyone can follow Erin on aeronwellness.com as well as on Instagram. She has her personal profile, which is Aeryon Bella Ashley, and as well as Aeryon Wellness, which we'll put in the show notes. She also has your own podcast, Friends Cast, one of your 5 pillars. And, she's going to have some special promos for our listeners, as well as a giveaway that we can take a look out for on Instagram. Otherwise, thank you so much, Erin, for being here and just being so honest and open. I think we're going to learn a lot from this episode and about entrepreneurship and how you can kind of turn your journey into something so beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It's awesome.
I'm so glad you joined us today for the Fearless Entrepreneurs podcast. If this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend or someone who could use a little inspiration. You can always reach me, your host, Cindy Chang, directly on Instagram or Spotify DM. I love hearing from you. Don't forget to hit subscribe and leave a review. It truly means the world to me. Until next time, stay fearless.